I learn very fast. One glance at a textbook or YouTube video is enough for me to understand. Or I'm very slow. I fall behind everyone in each class. The teacher is awful. Those genius students learn immediately. The statements about learning usually do not reflect the reality of learning. People give way too much credit to their experience and fail to realize that learning is a very complex process. In a teaching class, my professor once asked us, what was the longest it took you to change a wrong idea you had about a physical concept? And I just stood and thought, wow, it actually took me more than 2 years to realize the picture of an atom inside my head was wrong. You see, out of high school I thought atoms were made of blue and red balls named electrons and protons. After 3 quantum mechanics class, 1 atomic and molecular physics class, and 1 nuclear physics class, I figured out that indeed atoms were not made by cute blue and red balls. In fact, even today I have absolutely no idea how an atom looks like, and convincing myself to this fact took more than 2 years. Now all this begs the question, how do we learn, or how fast do we learn? I want to focus on the speed of learning, as the question of how feels a bit too complicated. I'm not an expert on cognitive studies, but from my incredibly deep research, I found an article suggesting the rate of learning between students doesn't differ too much as long as they keep up the hard work. This is in line with my intuition and observations. In many cases, even if we see many different scores on exams, those results fail to reflect the learning capabilities or the rate of learning of individuals. So basically, one horrible score on a mathematics test is no reason to get discouraged and immediately assume that I am horrible at that brain thingies. Every skill, and I mean every skill from juggling balls to solving complex integrals, take a lot of practice. The one thing I want to emphasize is the fact that learning abstract things takes significantly longer than we assume. All other skills are a bit more motor and includes physical practicing and is related more to willingness to spending physical energy. In contrast, abstract skills and the facts require significant mental energy, which is not really some Jedi stuff. It is still physical energy, but now we are making our brains work. The key difference, in my opinion, is that our brains are lazier than other parts of our body. Especially when it comes to changing an opinion, it is just stubborn, and if you want to make it work, the brain will find a way to push us into laziness. Very crudely, this might be an evolutionary fact, as misunderstanding the physics of thermodynamics of gases very rarely meant we are deleted from existence, but you will certainly starve if you skip the leg day. So we have very little motivation to change the concepts that our brain made using our experiences, even if someone comes and says, those concepts just don't make sense. Now, this is why we are actually very slow learners. Even geniuses have to spend significant time to convince that stubborn, albeit quite smart brain. You simply have to give it time to digest, you have to keep bombarding it to convince it to work, and make it accept even well understood facts. We can now go back to the example I have given about atoms. The red and blue ball model is much more comfortable. It is quite cute in fact, and removes the abstractness from the subject significantly. So it took a lot of practice and convincing of years to make my brain accept the fact that those red and blue balls indeed do not exist. Overall, we learn much slower than we hope to learn. Knowing this is actually crucial, because in some skills only spending 3 months and giving up is meaningless. You simply don't know beforehand how long will it take, and anyone gives you a time actually lies. The initial conditions of different people differ quite a lot. Also true for the schools, some subjects might need more than 1 or even 4 semesters to get accustomed to, but don't be discouraged on that as well. One great strategy everyone can adopt, knowing the slowness of learning, is that focusing on long-term practices. It seems like sleeping over a subject also helps our brain to learn it, so instead of pushing for 10 plus hours daily and accomplishing some task in, let's say, 30 days, maybe just allow yourself to reflect more, rest more, and do it with 4 hours daily in a 3-month frame. That way you can stack up some of the skills at the same time, which can make the daily work less dreadful as well. Now you might ask, did it work out for you once you have figured out this slowness? To this I can say, at the very least, I am much less stressed about learning. And still struggling with special relativity doesn't bother me. Also, I started to love and embrace my slow, lazy brain more. As the great thinker Feynman once said, I was an ordinary person who studied hard. There are no miracle people. It happens they get interested in this thing and they learn all this stuff, but they are just people.